Hi guys, welcome back to Transits and Tactics. We are in the gate of 37. We're still traveling along all the emotional gates, right? So gate 37 is the gate of friendship or family, as it's known, and it's all about there's kind of keywords that I'm going to just throw at you, and then we'll go and dive a little bit deeper. So there's keywords of bargaining, bonds, distribution, value of partnerships. It's this whole family vibe. Breaking bread together, nurturing each other, the bonds, and because it's a provider, it's not a provider because it's a distributor role. The gate 37, and then the gate 41 is the provider. When with this sort of role. This is the female in a classic sense, in a marriage sense, right? This is the one that takes the resources and starts redistributing it. So the bargains and the agreements are very important for this energy. And because it's an emotional energy, so there is an element of change. You have to always adjust and always, take a little bit there, give a little bit there. That's with the distribution, you can't be too rigid, right? It has to always be flowy. So we're dealing with this sense of, what are you bringing into this? What am I bringing into this? How can we be together? The loyalty is really, really big theme during this transit. And how can we ensure that everybody gets what they need from this relationship? So in a way, we find each one of us can find a recognition within a family or community, if you bring it into the world of marketing, within your audience, within your community, within your world. So this is where all these topics are highlighted. And it's interesting because it is about nurturing the bonds. I don't know about you, but I feel like there's a lot of thoughts about, haven't been in touch with this person. How is, my relationships within my sisters and my family? We don't really, somehow since New Year's, we haven't even seen each other, and I'm like, oh my God, the second month of the year is almost finished. And how is this happening? So these are the kind of thoughts, but also within your marketing, within your business, what are the relationships like with people in your life? And one of the most important things that coming up for me, for example, is the topic of codependency. Where is the relationship is still truly loyal to each other, sees each other's value, or is there codependency? And that is very dangerous because that can bring some resentment to surface, and love can turn into hate. And so this is a kind of tricky period for it. I feel like, and on the other side, you can also enter new relationships, right? And so I feel like this is where, if you follow your strategy and authority, if you follow your inner yes, you can enter amazing relationships. I actually proposed to my husband last year during this transit. We had a leap year, so we had the 29th, and there's an Irish tradition. We're both here have affiliation with Ireland, right? The Irish tradition to get to the woman can propose on the 29th of February. And so I did because it felt right, and I followed my strategy and authority with this. So it could be a really, really potentially good time. And yet it's an emotional energy. So some sort of clarity, and there could be explosive, you know, love to hate it, not maybe in an extreme form, but feelings can come or they can expire too. So there's this wave, and in a way, if you want to have clarity, you need to step back a little bit, assess things, see if what you're perceiving as loyalty is really loyal, or if you're perceiving something as treason, is it really that as well? So there's a lot of this focus on the elements of each other's support and nurturing, and do you have the right to be at this table? I find that for me, and I suspect that this is to do with my profile, the one line, which is all about correctness, as well as the projectors. What's correct is really important to us. So this kind of vibe is like, do you have the place at my table? you know is it worth my time? Do you see me? Do you recognize me? This is so strong right now. I'm suspecting that the transit is influencing the way I'm thinking. And also the gate that is harmonious, gate 40, which is the gate of aloneness, is at the same time, it's also creating a channel of community. So we are all, regardless if you have that gate normally in your chart or not, we are affected by the channel of community, which is focusing on kind of discovering where do you belong in the grand scheme of things within the world within the relationships. It's a projected channel, so you're kind of figuring out where you fit in. But because it's a projected channel, it means that you can't initiate. You can't just budge in. You can't just like decide, okay, I fit in there and then go and, feel like you have to be welcomed. It's not necessarily going to happen. This is such a more beautiful time and more aligned if you make yourself visible and then wait for invitations. Let the right people self-identify with you, that you fit with them, and invite you to be part of their community and their world. So I think it's a very good time now to dive back into your online visibility if you haven't been visible, and focus on the things that really truly matter to you, so that those people can resonate with those things. I don't know about you, but I've been reworking a lot of articles on my blog with the kind of new inspiration. And I think that this is exactly where, here's my part. I'm bringing this to the table and seeing who wants it, in a way, which is beautiful. Because, also in waiting for invitations, and I think we might be talking about it a little bit more today, it's not a passive process. Unlike a lot of people assume when they hear, wait to respond, wait for invitations, this is a very active process, because if you're not seen, how can anyone recognize your value and how can they invite you? So be a little bit more proactive in terms of your own visibility, putting yourself out there, not initiating relationships, but being available. Because if you're not seen, who can see you? And this is where gate 40 can have this opposite side of the coin, because this is a gate of aloneness. So you might actually feel like you want to, be alone rather than be, invited. You could even withdraw your affection, if you feel like there's too much of demand for it. That's the shadow of gate 40, and you can feel exhausted because of that. If you're right now acting or in relationships, in agreements or scenarios that are wrong for you, you can feel exhausted, you can feel fatigue, and even lack of inner purpose. So if you are sensing anything like this, something needs to change. This is the shadow, and that's, it's good. I always say you can't know what beautiful is if you don't know what ugly looks like. So these kind of the tiredness, the exhaustion, think, where are you pushing? Where are you initiating? Where are you maybe not allowing yourself to be a little bit loved up and pampered and cared for? Because remember, the 37 is about nurturing and nourishing. And it's actually, if you have the gate 37 in your chart, you might be really fond of food, right? Because this is this whole nurturing and nourishing energy. And so maybe you should just relax and allow yourself to be pampered ever so often, and this is a good time. So that's the kind of little here and there. I feel like today I just showered you with all different keywords, and it's up to you which one really stood out, because we all, we have this theme in the transit. But what I'm seeing, and, obviously, I think it's a very obvious thing. Everybody experiences it in a slightly unique flavor. So maybe some of the key words really stood out, and you'd be saying, this is exactly what I'm doing this week. And then others, they didn't really affect you as much, because it's not just about one gate or, where the sun is at. It's about all other things. That's why I love that we're doing this. And Annita brings the bigger picture, the planetary transits and other influences. Annita, what's going on this week from your perspective?
Absolutely. Well, I do have this channel, and I would agree it's very, very important, especially with this gate 37 at the moment, because it is about harmony, but it's about desperately struggling to find peace outside of yourself. And so that's really difficult. Actually, it's completely out of your control. So that's exhausting, right? As well. There's a number of reasons that this is exhausting. But we have the new moon coming up, activating gate 37 on Thursday. So it's really emphasizing the importance of finding that balance between you and them. Where are you over committing, over giving? Where do you need to step back? Where do you need to take time? I mean, this gate 40 is great. I mean, how ridiculous. One person who overgives and the 40 that wants to withdraw and retreat, right? It's actually so what I love about it is, yes, make sure you make the bargains, and the other thing is just realize that this is the energy where, because you can focus on others, you forget to see how amazing you are yourself. So this new moon is bringing in the new energies. It's bringing in the next couple of weeks, Venus retrograde and Mercury retrograde. So it's look at how you're speaking about yourself. Look at how you're allowing yourself to put others first. And it's not wrong. It's just when you share from a full cup, it's so much more easier. You're setting up the win-win. And business-wise, this is so cool because you really need to, and I'm referring now to potential healers because I'm holistic practitioners, they're good givers, right? You need to be very aware that you're not draining your energy to help your client. That's very important. So that patient dynamic and relationship dynamic that Juliette talked about. And we have a ton of planets in Pisces at the moment, which is all about let's just release. But I think it's more to do with releasing the mind,
Yeah.
releasing the way I thought I had to be, dive in more to your intuition and really allow yourself to show up in a way that you might not have before. But that's what the energies are encouraging us to do. And you'll find we're starting the eclipses. The moon is the start of the eclipse season for March. And it's really about with these huge changes. All the planets have moved from, or most of them have moved from earth and water into air and fire. So it's naturally quicker. So it's a kind of a readjustment for your body and your mind. So plenty of exercise, plenty of rest, which makes, but with activating that will center, it's work to rest. So make sure you're getting that balance there and try 100% in a relationship. So instead of coming 50-50 and thinking the other person completes you, show up as 100% yourself and let the other person show up 100% their selves and agree where you want to meet in the middle. And that makes it easier for your marketing, makes it easier for your client to see what you're sharing. And well, it's new because it's stepping out of that place where we want others to be happy before we're happy, right? So it's
That's
fun.
true. That's true. And also what you just said, because 37 is a tribal gate, isn't it? It's about the bargaining, the bargain, the support. There is, if you have tribal circuitry, and I always say this to all my clients, like watch how much tribal circuitry you have, because that comes with an expectation of the other end of the bargain to be fulfilled. But there's a big but. Sometimes the other end of the bargain doesn't know they have the end of the bargain. Sometimes it's in, because you have the tribal energy, they might have like collective energy or individual energy. They don't care about this giving back, right? So you have to be very clear in your expectations. You can't just say, oh, I always support everyone and nobody supports me, because you didn't actually sit down and have a contract where you discuss who is doing what. It's really, really important with anything tribal that you just know this about yourself, that there's might be some expectation at the back of your head that you're adding this. And I love what you just said, Anita. Why do we have to do 50 you and 50 me? This kind of bargain. What about if we bring the 100 and we see what percentage will align? It could be, I mean, it never will be 100% because we're all different. We need to agree to disagree on some points. And that's why even under the 37, if you're a distributor, the agreements need to be constantly changed, because today we need to put more here, but tomorrow we will need to put more there. It's about always managing your resources. And in the beginning of this year, I was listening about the energy of the year. Elizabeth Peru, who I follow and I mentioned here so many times, and she was talking about the energy of the year, the ninth universal year numerology. And one thing she said that I literally put on I have a chalkboard in the kitchen, and it says, inspire others by inspiring yourself this year. And I want to have that every day. I go into my kitchen to have my coffee and I see this. And this is exactly, it's about bringing 100% into the relationships, not expecting your focus is not on them and what they're bringing in, but what do you bring into this relationship? So if you take a business scenario or the online visibility, show up yourself. And that is how you become available to invitations. So everything, it's like a domino effect, right? But inspire yourself, then you will inspire others.
Yeah, I totally agree. And with that 100, agreement is different to compromise. when you're agreeing, I'll give today, take tomorrow, that's very different to compromising. Because when people compromise, they all feel they lose. Whereas with agreement, we can set up what's the win-win here? What's that place that we can truly, and that's a very strong manifesting attitude actually, is what's the win-win for this agreement? And it means everybody's happy. So everybody's happy, but you're contributing what you need to win at the same time, which I think is really cool. Because if this center is defined for you guys with open emotion this week, there's two channels again activated. So you might find it emotional to want to claim your needs or rebargain, renegotiate for your needs to be met, right? Yourself, first of all. And, this is a really powerful time. Just occurred to me that if you are in a relationship and it's miserable because you're expecting the other to show up for you to satisfy your needs that you actually need to satisfy, have a look at that for yourself. Where can you do this where you're putting it onto someone else? And it's actually very empowering
Wow,
question to
it is. I have to say this is the theme for the last couple of weeks for me. Three or four particular relationships, some in personal life and some in client life, thinking, am I projecting? Am I putting something that I should be bringing into this relationship on that person? Because it's a very disempowering and really it's just a nasty place to be. It takes over and camps in your head when you're expecting something from someone where all you need to do is bring the focus back into your energetic cocoon, and then have draw your power from within there. And it's really true what you're talking about, the agreements and the commitments.
Exactly. And that's very poignant in the chart as well, because Pluto is activating the gate 41. It's about release those expectations because it stops you from having the experience with that person. So the expectations can really block your manifesting in relationships, in your business, in your agreements. So, we're actually our conversation has become of what's putting words onto what the planets are actually doing at the moment. It's really cool.
Yeah, it is
Okay,
really cool. Every time this happens with us, with Anita and I, we meet up, and sometimes we even say, I don't know if I have, if I kind of have a grasp on this any just yet. So especially when we're recording in the beginning of the transit, and there hasn't been enough time yet to process what's going on, and then everything aligns in our conversation, and then when we look at the bigger picture and the bigger planets, and then the transit, it kind of focuses on the back onto the transit. It's all always works in such a beautiful synergy, and it's all taking us somewhere. And I don't know about you, Anita, in your personal experience, but I know usually end of February, start of March, and in March, and the eclipses is not a coincidence that we always have an eclipse season around this time. It's a spring clean. We've been brought with all these, polarizing emotional gates and transits. We are being brought to this clean up in our lives, what serves us, so we can focus on something better. And then after that's done, we have this new plateau. And I know there's some prominent situations that happen to me, and they always fall onto this period. So it's better to be prepared, right? Otherwise, you can feel like a victim with this. But it's a beautiful process when you know that, okay, this is bringing us to review, letting go of the old, embracing the new, but doing it in a more empowered way, more elevated way.
exactly. And if you watch out, because as I said, the bigger planets, a lot of them now, and Neptune is moving into Aries next month. There's very little grounded energy in the chart. There's very little earth energy. So be very careful to ground. Every day ground. If you feel you're starting to get wound into an anxiety or what's the word? Worry about whether you're doing something or not doing something, just ground your energy. And that's how you can dance effectively with the energies of the planets. That's how you can harness them into using. So just be aware of that for the next month or two. do your grounding. Be the tree. I even put
It's
my tree thing on today, just, ground your roots as deep into the earth as the crown of the tree expands to the sky, right? It's so important.
It is, and just to add to this, if you don't know how to ground yourself, some people, don't know. Imagine this, imagine yourself as a tree, and then breathe. Breathe into your roots, draw the energy from the earth, put it on the top, into your crown, or sometimes you might more resonate with like putting it out into the universe and then draw from the universe and then put it into the earth. And it really, 4 or 5 cycles like this, slow cycles like this, change everything. It's such a quick fix to this, being drawn into the anxiety, as you said. So I'm really glad that we were able to add something practical at the end of this. Guys, it's all good. This is a great time. And it's also very tactile time. I forgot to say this. 37 is very tactile. 37 is not, if you have a partner and they have 37, you might notice that they don't speak about their love as much as they just want to hug you and touch you. And it's a very touchy-feely. And it's good this week. Hug your friends, hug people, hug your clients if you can. Because through the touch, you also will feel if you can trust this person. This is a really, really cool time. So go and experiment, and we will see you in the next episode of Transits and Tactics. Bye.